The local church community slowly began to shift their perspective. It started with Pastor Bill's wife inviting them to the annual picnic, where Destiny's infectious laugh and James's patient parenting caught everyone's attention. Soon, other families began approaching them after services, and playdates were arranged. One Sunday, after a particularly moving sermon about unconditional love, Mrs. Anderson, who had been one of their biggest critics, approached them with tears in her eyes. "I was wrong," she admitted, hugging them both. "You two were meant to be family." Her words spread through the community like ripples in a pond, slowly changing hearts and minds. Through it all, James kept a journal of their journey, writing down both the struggles and triumphs. On difficult days, he'd read through it, finding strength in how far they'd come. He noted how Destiny's nightmares became less frequent, how her smile grew more confident, and how their morning goodbye hugs at school got longer and tighter. Their little family might not have matched society's expectations, but they were building something beautiful, a home where love outweighed judgment, where age was just a number, and where two souls who needed each other found their perfect match. Spring brought new beginnings for James and Destiny as they settled into a rhythm uniquely their own. Their mornings started with what they called sunshine talks, simple conversations over breakfast where they shared their dreams and plans for the day. James learned to make heart-shaped pancakes, though they often ended up looking more like clouds, which made Destiny giggle every time. Their bond grew stronger through small, everyday moments. One rainy Saturday, while cleaning out the attic, they discovered James's old chess set. The wooden pieces were worn smooth from years of use during his teaching days. "Want to learn?" he asked, watching Destiny's fingers trace the intricate knight piece. Her eyes lit up with curiosity. That afternoon became the start of their weekend chess tradition. James taught her how each piece moved, using stories to make it memorable. The queen, he explained, is the most powerful piece because she can move in any direction, just like love can reach anywhere. Destiny soaked up every word, her strategic mind surprising him with moves he didn't see coming. Their home transformed into a space of shared learning. James might have been the teacher for 30 years, but now he found himself being the student too. Destiny introduced him to her favorite music, teaching him dance moves that made his knees creak but his heart soar. She showed endless patience, explaining how to use his new smartphone, even creating a step-by-step guide with drawings when he struggled with texting. "Dad," she said one evening, looking up from her tablet, "you need an Instagram account." The suggestion made him laugh at first, but soon they were spending Sunday afternoons taking photos together. Their first post, a slightly blurry selfie of them making silly faces, got more likes than either expected, mostly from James's former students who were delighted to see their old teacher embracing social media. Their library visits became sacred rituals. Every Saturday morning, they'd walk hand in hand down Main Street, stopping to say hello to Mrs. Chen watering her flowers, or to pet the friendly golden retriever at the coffee shop. Inside the library, they'd split up on their missions. Destiny exploring the youth section while James browsed historical fiction before meeting at their favorite spot by the window to share their finds. The librarian, Mrs. Rodriguez, noticed their special bond. She started setting aside books she thought they'd both enjoy. Stories about unlikely families, tales of courage, and books about chess strategy. "You two make my day," she told them one afternoon, watching them debate the merits of different mystery series. Food became another way they connected. James taught Destiny his mother's secret recipe for chocolate chip cookies, while she introduced him to new flavors she learned about from friends at school. Their kitchen experiments didn't always turn out perfect, like the time they tried to make sushi and ended up with rice everywhere, but their laughter filled the house. They created their own special language too. A double squeeze of hands meant "I love you" when words weren't possible. 3 taps on the shoulder translated to "I'm here for you." Simple gestures that carried deep meaning, building a foundation of trust and understanding. Technology, which had initially been a source of stress for James, became a bridge between their generations. Destiny taught him how to video chat, opening up a new world of connection with old friends who had moved away. She showed him educational YouTube channels that helped him understand her interests better. In return, he shared stories about life before the internet, which fascinated her. Their evenings often ended with what they called starlight stories on the back porch. James would share tales from his teaching days, while Destiny would make up fantastic adventures about the constellations they could see. Sometimes they'd sit in comfortable silence, sharing a blanket and hot chocolate, just being present with each other. The neighborhood began to notice the positive change in both of them. James stood taller, moved with more energy, smiled more often. Destiny blossomed with confidence, her natural leadership abilities shining through at school. Then her home became known as the place where you could always hear laughter or music drifting through the windows. Even the kids at school started seeing James differently. When he volunteered for the school carnival, wearing a silly hat Destiny picked out, her classmates crowded around him to hear his jokes and stories. "Your dad is so cool" became a common phrase Destiny heard in the hallways. Their story caught the attention of the local paper, which ran a small feature about them in the community section. The article highlighted how they proved that family bonds aren't about age or appearance, but about the love and dedication to each other. James kept a copy in his wallet, though the paper was getting worn from how often he showed it to people. As spring turned to summer, their little family felt more solid than ever. They had inside jokes, shared traditions, and a deep understanding that went beyond words. James and Destiny had found in each other not just a father and daughter, but best friends who brought out the best in each other. Summer brought a remarkable shift in how the community viewed James and Destiny's unique family. The change began quietly, like the first drops of rain before a summer shower. It started when Destiny brought home her report card, straight A's and glowing comments from every teacher. The same neighbors who had once whispered doubts now found themselves witnessing the undeniable results of James's dedicated parenting. The transformation became more visible during the annual community fair. Destiny had entered the science competition with a project about chess strategies and mathematical thinking, something she and James had worked on together for weeks. Their dining room had turned into a makeshift laboratory, with chess pieces scattered among charts and graphs. When presentation day came, Destiny stood confidently before the judges, her project board decorated with photos of her and James playing chess, alongside complex patterns she'd discovered. The crowd grew larger as she spoke, drawn in by her enthusiasm and clear understanding. Parents who had once kept their distance now leaned in closer, impressed by how articulate and poised she was. "That's the girl living with the older gentleman," one mother whispered to another. But this time, the tone was different, filled with admiration rather than judgment. "Have you seen how well she's doing in school?" Another parent chimed in. "And she's always so helpful with the younger kids during recess." James sat in the audience, his heart swelling with pride. A few rows behind him, he overheard Mrs. Thompson, who had been one of their earliest critics, say to her friend, "I was wrong about them. That man has given her everything she needs to thrive." The science fair victory was just the beginning. As summer progressed, that home became a gathering spot for neighborhood children. Parents who had once been hesitant now regularly dropped off their kids for chess lessons from James and Destiny. The backyard echoed with laughter as Destiny taught her friends the games she and James had invented together. Even Tom and Betty, James's old card game friends who had distanced themselves, started dropping by again. They brought apologies wrapped in Betty's famous apple pie, admitting they'd let their prejudices cloud their judgment. "We've missed you," Tom said quietly, watching Destiny teach their grandkids how to play chess. The local diner, where Whispers had once followed them, now had a special booth they called James and Destiny's Corner. The owner, Mr. Lai, would brighten up whenever they walked in, already knowing their usual order: chocolate chip pancakes for Destiny and black coffee for James. Other customers started requesting to sit near them, drawn by their warm interactions and the way they always made everyone around them smile. Their influence spread to the school system too. The principal invited James to speak at a parent-teacher meeting about the importance of breaking down stereotypes in adoption. He shared their story, not hiding the challenges they'd faced, but emphasizing how love and commitment could overcome any obstacle. Destiny's academic achievements continued to impress everyone. Her English teacher shared how she'd written a powerful essay about family that moved the entire class to tears. The school counselor noted how other students now came to her for advice, drawn to her emotional maturity and kind heart. The community center, which had initially been a place of awkward encounters, became their second home. James started a weekly chess club, teaching kids of all ages while Destiny assisted as his junior instructor. Parents would stay to watch, amazed at how patient he was with every child, just as he had been with Destiny. One memorable afternoon, during a neighborhood block party, Mrs. Chen stood up to make an announcement. She shared how watching James and Destiny had changed her perspective on family. "They've taught us that love doesn't see age or color," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "They've made our community stronger." The local newspaper did a follow-up story about their impact on the community. The reporter captured how their relationship had sparked a movement of acceptance and understanding. Photos showed them at various community events, James helping at school functions, Destiny leading younger kids in activities, both of them volunteering at the food bank together. Their story inspired other potential adoptive parents who didn't fit the traditional mold. The local adoption agency reported an increase in applications from single parents and older adults. James often found himself offering advice and encouragement to those who worried they were too old or too different to provide a loving home. By the end of summer, the same community that had once raised eyebrows at their family now held them up as an example. They showed that love could bridge any gap, age, race, or background. Their presence had transformed a neighborhood of skeptics into a supportive, inclusive community that celebrated differences instead of fearing them. The crisp autumn morning started like any other. James was making Destiny's favorite breakfast, French toast with cinnamon, while she packed her backpack for school. She was telling him about her upcoming sophomore year science project when it happened. The spatula slipped from his hand, clattering to the floor. A sharp pain shot through his left arm. "Dad." Destiny's voice seemed distant, though she was right beside him. At 15, she'd grown into a perceptive young woman, and she immediately knew something was wrong. James tried to smile, to tell her everything was fine, but the words wouldn't come. His chest felt like it was being squeezed in a vice. Destiny didn't panic. Instead, she showed remarkable composure, quickly dialing 911 while helping her father to a chair. She remembered everything: his medications, his doctor's name, their address, rattling off the information to the dispatcher with clarity that belied her age. "Stay with me, Dad," she kept saying, holding his hand. "Help is coming." The ambulance arrived within minutes, its sirens piercing the quiet morning. The paramedics found Destiny already having gathered James's medication list and insurance cards. "My daughter," James managed to say weakly to the paramedic, his pride evident even through the pain. "She's my daughter." The news spread through their small community like wildfire. James Richardson had suffered a heart attack. The same neighbors who had once questioned his ability to raise a child now watched in amazement as 15-year-old Destiny handled the crisis with remarkable maturity. At the hospital, Destiny became her father's fierce advocate. She questioned doctors about treatments, took detailed notes during their explanations, and made sure nurses knew about his allergies. During the day, she attended school, insisting that's what her father would want, and rushed to the hospital immediately after, doing her homework in the cardiac unit's waiting room. The community that had embraced them over the years now rallied around them in an extraordinary way. Mrs. Chen organized a meal train, ensuring fresh food was delivered to the hospital daily. The chess club kids made get-well cards, filling them with memories of their favorite lessons. Even Mr. Lee from the diner packed special soup deliveries with handwritten notes of encouragement. Destiny's teachers worked with her to accommodate her new responsibilities. They adjusted assignment deadlines and offered extra help during lunch breaks. Her chemistry teacher, seeing her struggle to stay awake in class, quietly arranged for other students to share their notes with her. The daily hospital routine became their new normal. Destiny would arrive after school, carrying her backpack and usually some homemade food from a neighbor. She'd pull up a chair next to James' bed, sharing stories about her day while helping him with his physical therapy exercises. The nurses marveled at their bond, how their usual banter continued even in this sterile hospital setting. One evening, as she was organizing his medications, James watched her with tears in his eyes. "I'm supposed to be taking care of you," he whispered. Destiny looked up from the pill organizer, her expression serious. "You've been taking care of me for 8 years, Dad. Now it's my turn." The local church organized a prayer circle, but they did more than pray. They created a schedule to drive Destiny to and from the hospital. The school counselor, who had watched Destiny grow from a shy 7-year-old into a confident teenager, started a fundraiser to help with medical expenses. The response was overwhelming. Late one night, when James was feeling particularly discouraged about his slow recovery, Destiny pulled out their old chess set. She'd brought it from home, knowing its familiar weight and texture would comfort him. "Remember how you taught me that every piece has its moment of weakness and strength?" she said, setting up the board. "Well, right now you're just castling, protecting yourself to come back stronger." The doctors were impressed by James's recovery, attributing much of it to Destiny's dedicated care. She researched heart-healthy recipes, learned about cardiac rehabilitation exercises, and created a detailed calendar to track his medications. The cardiac nurses started calling her Dr. Destiny, impressed by her medical knowledge and attention to detail. Their roles had reversed, but their love had only grown stronger. James watched with pride as his daughter managed their household, coordinated his care, and maintained her honor roll status at school. The community saw it too, how the man who had once been judged for adopting a child at his age had raised a daughter with extraordinary strength and compassion. As James grew stronger, their hospital room became a gathering place. Former students visited their old teacher, sharing stories that made Destiny laugh. Neighbors dropped by with books, magazines, and updates about community happenings. The room was never without fresh flowers or handmade cards, tangible reminders of the lives they had touched. Through it all, their sense of humor remained intact. "You just wanted to get out of teaching me to drive," Destiny would tease, making James chuckle despite his discomfort. Their laughter echoed through the hospital corridors, a testament to the resilience of their bond. The high school auditorium buzzed with excitement on graduation day. Sunlight streamed through the high windows, creating a warm glow as families filed in, programs rustling in their hands. In the front row, James sat straight and proud, his heart racing with emotion. His daughter, now 18, was about to deliver the valedictorian speech. Behind the stage, Destiny adjusted her graduation cap one last time. The golden valedictorian cord sparkled against her royal blue gown. She touched the small chess piece in her pocket, the knight from their first chess set, her good luck charm for important moments. The principal's introduction faded into applause as Destiny stepped up to the podium. The same community that had once whispered doubts about her family now sat in respectful silence, eager to hear her words. James leaned forward slightly, remembering the little girl who had once been too shy to read aloud in class. "When I was 7 years old," Destiny began, her voice clear and steady, "someone took a chance on love." She paused, meeting her father's eyes in the audience. "My dad didn't see what others saw. An older man who should be planning retirement, a single person who should be content with quiet days, or a white man who should stick to what he knows. He saw a little girl who needed a home, and he saw love." The audience sat captivated as she shared their story. She talked about the early days, the awkward moments in grocery stores, the whispers at school events, the friends who disappeared. But then she spoke about the magic that grew in their home, chess lessons that turned into life lessons, pancake breakdowns that turned into laughter, and quiet moments that built an unbreakable bond. "My father taught me that family isn't about matching what others expect," she continued, her voice growing stronger. "It's about matching hearts. It's about choosing to love when others choose to judge. It's about seeing possibilities where others see problems." In the audience, Mrs. Chen dabbed at her eyes with a tissue. The school counselor nodded knowingly, remembering the shy 7-year-old who had blossomed into this confident young woman. Even the custodian, who had watched their morning drop-offs for years, stood quietly in the back, listening with a smile. Destiny shared how their challenges had made them stronger. She spoke about the heart attack that had scared them both, but showed them the depth of their community's love. "When my dad was in the hospital," she said, "the same people who once questioned his ability to be my father showed us what it means to be a true community." Her words painted pictures of neighbors bringing meals, teachers offering support, and classmates rallying around her. "They learned what we knew all along," she said, "that love doesn't care about age, race, or circumstance. Love just loves." James felt tears rolling down his cheeks as Destiny described their daily rituals, chess games that taught strategy and patience, library visits that opened new worlds, and evening talks that built trust and understanding. She spoke about how his teaching background had helped her discover her own passion for education and justice. "My father's courage to choose love over convention changed not just my life, but our entire community, she continued. We watched people's hearts open, their minds change, and their understanding grow. One family's different path showed others that it's okay to follow your heart, even when it leads you down an unexpected road. The atmosphere in the auditorium had transformed. People who had been part of their journey sat straighter, recognizing their own growth in her words. New families in the community learned a powerful lesson about judgment and acceptance. As I stand here today, Destiny's voice filled with emotion, I'm not just representing academic achievement. I'm representing every person who's ever been told they don't fit the mold. Every family that looks different from what society expects. Every heart brave enough to choose love over fear. She pulled out the chess piece from her pocket, holding it up. My dad taught me that in chess, like in life, every piece has its own way of moving, its own path to victory. Today, I want to thank him for showing me that our path, though different, was perfect for us. Looking directly at James, she delivered her final words. Dad, you didn't just give me a home. You gave me wings. You taught me that love doesn't need permission or approval. It just needs courage and an open heart. The auditorium erupted in a standing ovation. Through his tears, James could see others wiping their eyes, could hear the thunderous applause that acknowledged not just Destiny's academic achievements, but the journey they had taken together. Teachers who had watched Destiny grow hugged each other. Parents who had once kept their distance now turned to James with admiration. The principal, usually composed, had to take a moment to collect himself before continuing the ceremony. That speech became more than just a valedictorian's farewell. It became a testament to the power of unconditional love, a reminder that family is defined by hearts, not expectations. In those moments, as Destiny's words echoed through the auditorium, their personal journey became a universal message of hope and acceptance. 10 years had passed since that first autumn day when James brought Destiny home. The same house that had once felt too quiet now echoed with the squeals of children, Destiny's twins, a boy and girl who had inherited their mother's bright eyes and their grandfather's gentle spirit. At 72, James found new joy in being grandpa, his silver hair now completely white, but his heart fuller than ever. Destiny, now a successful child rights attorney, had turned their personal journey into a mission of change. Working from her downtown office, she had established the Richardson Family Foundation, focusing on supporting senior citizens who wanted to adopt. The foundation's motto, displayed prominently on its walls, read, "Love knows no age," words taken from James's first adoption application. The foundation's first success story involved a retired teacher in her 60s who adopted siblings from the local children's home. Destiny had personally handled the case, remembering how her own story began. When the adoption was finalized, James sat in the courtroom, watching his daughter argue passionately about the importance of looking beyond conventional family structures. Their influence spread beyond their small town. State legislators began consulting Destiny about adoption reform. She testified before committees, sharing research and personal experience about the success of senior adoptions. Her presence commanded respect. The same quiet confidence she had learned from James during their chess games now served her well in courtrooms and conference rooms. James's role had evolved too. He became a mentor to other senior citizens considering adoption, hosting monthly meetings in their living room. The same space where he had once taught Destiny chess now welcomed nervous but hopeful prospective parents. He shared their story honestly, the challenges, the judgments, but most importantly, the immeasurable joy. "I remember feeling so uncertain," he would tell them, bouncing his grandson on his knee. "But look at us now." The living room walls told their story through photos: Destiny's graduation, her law school ceremony, her wedding, and now her own children. Each image a testament to how love could build bridges across generations. The community that had once questioned their family now pointed to them as pioneers. The local adoption agency had created a special program named after them, the Richardson Initiative, specifically designed to support non-traditional adoptive families. Social workers nationwide began studying their case, learning how to better support similar family structures. One bright spring morning, as James pushed his grandchildren on the park swings, a young reporter approached them. She was working on a story about changing adoption trends nationwide. "Your family started something remarkable," she said, notebook in hand. Did you ever imagine your decision would impact so many lives? James looked over at Destiny, who was setting up a chessboard on a nearby picnic table, continuing their weekend tradition, now with her own children. I just wanted to give love a chance, he replied simply. Everything else that followed was because people saw what was possible when you open your heart. The reporter watched as James's granddaughter ran to him, chess piece in hand, asking for help remembering how the knight moves. The same patient voice that had taught Destiny now explained to a new generation, remember, sweetheart, 2 steps forward, 1 step to the side, just like life sometimes takes unexpected turns. Their story had inspired changes in adoption policies across multiple states. Age restrictions were being reevaluated and support systems were being established for senior adoptive parents. Destiny's foundation had helped facilitate over 100 successful adoptions, each one a ripple effect from that first brave decision. The house on Pine Street became a landmark of sorts. School buses would slow down as they pass, teachers telling new students about the family that changed how their town thought about love and belonging. The garden, once James's solitary hobby, now bloomed with flowers planted by his grandchildren, supervised by both him and Destiny. During one foundation fundraiser, held in the community center where their story began, Destiny surprised James by unveiling a scholarship in his name. The James Richardson Scholarship would support adopted children pursuing careers in family law or social work. As he stood there, surrounded by family and friends, James remembered the whispers and doubts from years ago. Sometimes, Destiny told the crowd, her own children sitting in the front row, the biggest changes start with one person willing to follow their heart. She looked at her father, who now walked with a cane but still stood tall and proud. My father didn't just adopt me, he started a movement. He showed the world that family is about love, not about fitting into someone else's idea of normal. Their story had come full circle. The same community that had once questioned whether a man in his 60s could raise a child now celebrated how that decision had enriched all their lives. James and Destiny's journey had become more than a family story. It had become a beacon of hope, showing that love's only real requirement is an open heart ready to give it a home.